Lucy Parsons. Welcome to today's show. Today we're talking about whether mocks really matter, because after half term lots of people will be having mocks. Many schools have mocks in November, a few have them in December, and then another large number have them after the Christmas holidays in January. And I think it can often be a point of contention between parents and students whether mocks actually really matter, with the students thinking, well, they're just mocks, they're not the real thing, and parents seeing them as an important stepping stone on the way to the real exams. So in today's podcast, we're going to consider whether GCSE and A-level mocks really matter, and ultimately how seriously you should take them as a parent or student. Before we dive into that though, I just wanted to tell you about something coming up that you might be interested in, and that is one of my ever popular revision Kickstarter workshops. These are 2-hour-long live workshops on Zoom where I help your child to create a personalised revision plan. It's really interactive and it's very practical. Your child will not be sitting there for 2 hours just listening to me. They will be busy doing things to create a revision plan that really works for them. So what will they do during the Revision Kickstarter workshop? Firstly, they'll prioritise what to revise in a quick, easy and repeatable way so that they don't get overwhelmed by trying to revise everything. They'll decide which revision techniques to use so that they don't waste time on things that don't work for them. They'll create a personalised and flexible plan for their revision so that they know what they need to get done and when they're going to take a well-earned rest. And finally, find out how to incorporate a little bit of revision into every day so that they don't fall off the revision train once their mock exams are over, and they can sustain their revision to support them right up until their exams. So if you're interested in that, it's taking place on Saturday the 16th of October 2021. And you can sign up for it if you go to lifemoreextraordinary.com/revision-kickstarter. So that's lifemoreextraordinary.com/revision-kickstarter. And if you've missed this particular Revision Kickstarter workshop, we hold them throughout the school year. The next time we hold one will probably be just before the Christmas holidays to help people prepare for their mocks in January. So you can also go to lifemoreextraordinary.com/revision-kickstarter, where you'll either find a place where you can sign up at the waiting list for the next Revision Kickstarter workshop, or you'll find the page where you can sign up if we're in the run-up to another Revision Kickstarter workshop. Okay, I really hope to see you there at the Revision Kickstarter on the 16th of October. But let's get on with today's show. So, do mocks really matter? Well, let's first think about what's the point of mocks. So mocks are held for several reasons, the first of which is to practice the exam experience. Some GCSE and A-level students find exams very intimidating and get very anxious about them. The only way to get over this anxiety is to learn from experience that nothing awful is going to happen to you while you're taking an exam. Mocks are the closest most students get to the real exam situation without taking an exam. Some schools will hold mocks in classrooms, others will hold them in exam halls, complete with outside invigilators. So that's the first reason that schools hold mock exams, that they are to practice the exam experience. The second reason is to help students see whether they're doing the right kind of revision. It's very difficult to know whether the revision you're doing is the right kind of revision until you're actually faced with an exam paper. Many students under-prepare and some over-prepare. An example of someone not doing the right kind of revision is a former member of the Extraordinaries Club, Polly. She said, "I was in denial about my GCSEs and the amount of work I needed to do for them. I refused any help from my parents and thought I knew everything already and was doing enough work when I was actually just making pretty flashcards and posters and hanging them around my room thinking I had done enough work." The importance of being organised and how much work you actually need to do and what I actually need to do in terms of revision had not hit home. I wasn't facing reality at all. I thought I didn't need the help and I was doing okay on my own. The Extraordinaries Club enabled me to realise my mistakes. I have just completed my AS levels and I have never done so much work in preparation before exams. I am delighted with my results. They're very different from my GCSE results and really show how much the right work matters. So that's Polly's example, and you can clearly see that she was not doing the right kind of work and she wasn't doing enough work when she was working towards her GCSEs. But being a member of the Extraordinaries Club helped her to turn that around when she was studying for her AS exams in Year 12. On the other hand, I remember when I was preparing for my own GCSEs and A-levels, I definitely over-prepared. Studying geography, I had lots of case studies to learn, and I would go well beyond what I needed to in terms of learning the number of facts and figures required to get me the top marks. I could have spent a lot less time on revision and more time relaxing if I actually knew what was required of me by doing the right kind of revision. So mocks are a real learning experience. They can show you that you're doing not nearly enough revision, or they can show you that maybe you're over-revising and learning too much or focusing on the wrong kind of revision. And that's a really helpful learning in the build-up to the real exams. Okay, the third reason that schools hold mocks is to see what it's like to perform under pressure. Exams are usually a pressured situation where you have to manage your time very carefully in order to do your best. Exam technique is the skill that helps you perform at your best, and it is something that is learned through experience rather than a gift that young people are born with. That's why it's great to have mocks, to practice the skill of exam technique. If your child needs extra help with exam technique, we have an exam technique masterclass inside the Extraordinaries Club, which shows them things like how to read the question, how to structure answers to different kinds of questions, the basics of how to plan an essay. And we also have other masterclasses about a wide variety of individual subjects which help students with exam technique for each of those subjects. And we have those subjects for GCSE and for A-level. Okay, so that's another important thing. A reason why schools hold mocks is to see what it's like to perform under pressure and practice that crucial exam technique. The fourth reason schools hold mocks is for retrieval practice. Learning works through repeatedly practicing a skill or recalling a piece of information. Do you remember your child learning to walk and talk? The first time they tried to take a step or say a specific word, they might have stumbled or got it slightly wrong. They kept trying until they got it right, and then, once they'd got it right, they kept practicing until it became automatic. As the saying goes, neurons that fire together wire together. When brain cells are used repeatedly to retrieve a piece of information or execute a skill, that particular neural pathway gets stronger and stronger. That's why many schools hold mocks and frequent classroom tests. They encourage students to revise more and therefore recall and use information and skills. And this means that information and those skills become hardwired into their brains, and it will be there for them come their real exams. Okay, the fifth reason that schools hold mocks is as a backstop. Through the 2 years of the pandemic, we've seen mocks take on an even more important role than previously, as they've become a key part of how students' grades were awarded. However, even before the pandemic, if students were taken ill and couldn't take an exam, things like mocks would be used to help give them a grade. This school year, and I'm recording this in the school year 2021-2, just like last school year, the government is assuring us that exams will go ahead in the summer, although they will be in an altered form. However, we know they were cancelled last year, and mocks turned out to be very important. With the government's track record, I don't think we can take it for granted that exams will go ahead in summer 2022, so students should take the opportunity of mocks to show what they're capable of. So those are the 5 reasons that schools hold mocks. Firstly, to practice the exam experience. Secondly, to see whether you're doing the right kind of revision. Thirdly, to see what it's like to perform under pressure and practice exam technique. Fourthly, retrieval practice, so basically forming those neural highways in your brain that make it really easy to recall information. And fifthly, as a backstop to the real exams. So I think that shows that mocks have a really important role to play in the build-up to the real GCSE or A-level exams. But what does that mean about how hard students should push themselves for their mocks? It's always the responsible and sensible thing to try to do your best in your mocks, as we've already discussed. However, you have to remember that they aren't the real thing, and you shouldn't push yourself to your limits to do well in them. I remember when I was at school, and being the perfectionist A-grade student that I was, pushing myself really hard to get A's in every mock and test. One time in particular, I had my A-level chemistry mock on the Monday. I pushed myself so hard on the Saturday that I actually made myself ill on the Sunday. I was distraught, thinking it was destroying my chance to be predicted an A, and this would ruin my chances of getting into Cambridge. However, I still scraped the A on the Monday. No one else in the year got an A on that particular paper, and I realised that I was pushing myself too hard. Lesson learned. When students ask me how much they should revise in a day over the holidays, my short answer is always whatever's sustainable for you. This is going to be different for different students, and I've linked to a post which goes into this in detail from today's show notes, which you can find at lifemoreextraordinary.com/mocks matter. So if you're interested in the detail of how much you should revise in a day, check that out. But it is going to be different for different students. But the key thing to remember is no one should be pushing themselves to the point of burnout for the sake of their mocks. It's much more important to also have a rest over the school holidays, even if you have mocks when you go back. So what's the most important thing about mocks? I think the most important thing about GCSE and A-level mock exams is that you learn from them. Once they're over, I really encourage students to do an exam season review and reflect on, firstly, how they revised, what was good about how they revised and how would they change it going forwards. Secondly, how they looked after themselves during the mocks and how this could be improved so they're in the best physical and mental condition when they actually walk into the exam hall. And the exams themselves, including detailed feedback from their teachers so they can understand how to improve both their exam technique and their revision. If there are some valuable learnings from mocks, they're not wasted and they've served their purpose. So I hope this episode today has helped you understand whether mocks matter or not. I believe they do matter, but in a measured, sensible way. It's not about going all out and burning yourself out for mocks. It's about using them sensibly to test how you revise and see what's good about it and see how you can improve it iteratively as you go through the year, building up to your final GCSE or A-level exams. So if you have a child who needs some help getting ready to revise for their mocks and making the most of this learning opportunity of the mocks, then please do check out the Revision Kickstarter workshop at lifemoreextraordinary.com/revision-kickstarter. I really hope to see you there. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.